We have a wonderful speaker tonight. We have the director of the Montgomery County Right to Life, Teresa Strack, who will be speaking to us and taking any questions.
Thank you, Christy. And I'm very much just an honor to be here because I so much believe and appreciate all that y'all do in the community. So it's a real honor to be here. I'm just going to talk a little bit about who we are in Montgomery County Right to Life, and then what we do, and then maybe some ways in which y'all might want to hook up with us. First of all, then, who is Montgomery County Life, and who are we? We are the local chapter of Texas Right to Life, and Texas Right to Life is the oldest and largest pro-life organization in our state. It was founded in 1973, which of course was the year of the decision for Roe versus Wade. Montgomery County Right to Life was started by Dr. Joe Morrison, and he's a practicing physician, a family care physician here in Conroe, and he started it, as I said, in 2005, and he still serves as our chapter president. And we're hoping that he's actually going to be here sometime later on tonight. The vision of Montgomery County Right to Life. Our vision is very simple. Is that we will see a society that every God-given life is both valued and protected from conception until natural death. And our focus, of course, historically and now, has been primarily on abortion, because that is over 1 million real people losing their very real lives. So that is, of course, always going to remain our focus until that ends in our nation. And beyond even that suffering, we have the decision to end those lives oftentimes being made by very young people who then face decades of regret for that decision until their own natural death. So there's just a tremendous amount of just loss and suffering and pain, with our nation's and our society's support for abortion. But even beyond that now, we've kind of reached the point here in our society where we're not even valuing life anywhere along the spectrum. Sadly, more and more folks are looking at those who are handicapped or who are infirm and saying, they really would be better off if they weren't here. They're not respecting their lives. And then, of course, we all know that euthanasia is getting a stronger and stronger foothold in our society. So really, life is under attack and all along the process. And we all have a stake in it. So that's our vision. And an axiom that also guides who we are is one that y'all are very familiar with, one that I'm sure you agree with, and that is that all politics is local. I know you believe in that, and just as all politics is local, all changing of the culture is local. It starts in individuals' hearts and minds, because we want those really great laws, and I know that y'all have had a strong support for life, and you are working to elect people who will put strong laws in place on a state level and on a national level. But if we don't have our society strongly behind the value of life, those laws won't stand. So it is essential that we have people that are boots on the ground, and that's really what Montgomery County Right to Life is. We are those foot soldiers that are there talking to you and your neighbors and your family members and your folks that are in church with you to change those individual hearts and educate those individual minds to really to create that society that says God has given this life is valuable, every life is valuable, every life should be protected. So that, in short, is who we are. So then, now that you know who we are, what do we do? How do we get to that vision that we have for our nation? And if you look in your seats, you either picked one up or you sat on it. There's a little activity sheet. And that kind of gives you a quick little bullet point highlight of our activities. It doesn't cover all that we do because we're a very active chapter, but it does give you the highlights. You'll see our website there. I'm not going to go over them all tonight. I'm just going to hit on a couple things, because I want this to be a time of conversation. I want to have plenty of time for question and answers. But please, I encourage you to take this with you and visit our website sometime and kind of look on those different items and kind of flesh that out for you and look if there's maybe something that you might want to get involved with throughout the year. So what do we do in Montgomery County Right to Life? As I said, we're a very active chapter, but I'm going to highlight 2 areas that we really put a focus on. One of those areas is prayer vigils. We really, really believe in the efficacy of prayer. We know that in the end, it's really only God that can change individual hearts and minds, and thereby change society. So we believe in the power of prayer. So we joined with 40 Days for Life, which is actually an international prayer ministry that started right here in Texas in Bryan College Station. We joined with them, and we joined with Houston Coalition for Life, which of course is a local organization, to take part in 40 days of concentrated prayer, both in the spring and the fall. We're praying with people all across the world. So it's a wonderful opportunity if you want to take part in that. But during those times of prayer, we go down to the abortion clinics. We join with Houston Coalition for 1 day of prayer that Montgomery County Right to Life sponsors down the Planned Parenthood of the Gulf Coast. That's a really large main Planned Parenthood facility right on the I-45 where most of the surgical abortions are actually done. But then, unfortunately, I don't know how many of you are aware of, but a new Planned Parenthood clinic opened on Lowetta back in April of 2013. So it's right on our doorstep. We used to think we were kind of safe. We had to travel an hour down I-45 to get to that abortion clinic, or down to the one at FM 1960. But now it's right there at Lowetta and Kirkendall. So this spring, we decided to organize and hold a full 40 days campaign right there at that Lowetta location. And it was a great success. A lot of folks who maybe weren't able to drive all the way down to I-45 were not able to get involved. And we had 10 churches that took part and sponsored a day. When I told one of the national campaign directors for 40 days that we had 10 churches take part and sponsor a day, the very first time we organized a rally, he was shocked. He said, "That is fantastic." See, I was disappointed because I was going for 40 churches to cover all 40 days. But he said, "That is really fantastic." So next year we're going to aim for those 40 churches. But the prayer vigils give us that opportunity to go down to the clinics and minister directly to those hurting people. And we don't just minister to the folks that are going there for abortion. We're there for the abortion workers as well. In addition to the 40 days of concentrated prayer that we have in the spring and the fall, we actually have continuing prayer at that Lowetta clinic. We have 2 of our volunteers especially, Joe Wiegand, he's our public relations liaison, and Joyce Peterson, she's our secretary. She's been with Montgomery County Right to Life since it started in 2005. They go down there every Saturday and give up their time to start off our prayer time. And there's other of us like me that trickle in on certain days, but they are there always. I think Joe has only missed 2 days since April of 2013. And he's there at 7:30 in the morning to greet those abortion center workers and let them know that we love them too, that we're praying for them too, and that we have resources if they want to leave the industry. And then after they've all gone into the building, then he moves over to another part of the grass strip, and then we have a sign that we have and we paid for, and it just lets them know, the folks going to Planned Parenthood, that we have resources for them. If they want to come over to the grass strip, we can't go on the cement. They have to come to us. But the sign lets them know, come to us. We're here to love you, to pray for you, and to provide you with resources. And this is the handy little gift bag which Joyce and Joe made up. It's actually got some precious bead pins, a little video for them, actually a little pro-life frisbee, some actual things that do make it a gift bag, but also it's got about 10 different brochures of resources. A lot of them are for the pregnancy care centers like PACN, Birthright, CareNet, Tomahawk Pregnancy Center, but we also actually have resources in here for some of the low-cost or reduced-cost healthcare clinics that are in our area. So that folks who are going there aren't necessarily going there because they're pregnant or think they're pregnant, but they're just going there for the other services. We give them alternatives to Planned Parenthood, so we can remove them from that influence of the culture of death which Planned Parenthood promotes, and get them into some good Christian organizations, or at least other organizations that are going to celebrate life. So this is what we have there for those folks. So our prayer vigils give us the opportunity to minister directly to those hurting folks, to kind of interact with our pastoral community, And then also with getting them involved, almost all of the folks that took part, in fact, in that first campaign, those 10 churches, I think only 3 or 4 of them had ever taken part in a 40 days vigil before. So we're able to draw in those church members and those churches, and then of course also support and help our other pro-life organizations in our community. And one of the things that I forgot to mention as far as 40 days and how we interact with the pastors there, because we so much believe that 2 of the foundational groups that God uses to change hearts and minds are our churches and our families, our pastors and our parents. Well, with those 40 days campaigns, we have a kickoff rally the day before, and we have a pastor's dinner before the kickoff rally. The pastors come about an hour and a half before the kickoff rally. We feed them a good Texas barbecue meal, and they get a chance to just kick back and relax and fellowship with the other area pro-life pastors and various pro-life leaders, not just those from Montgomery County Right to Life, but other pro-life leaders, and have a chance to be supporting the pro-life beliefs and talk about what works and doesn't work. So those pastors' dinners have been growing, and we just think they're going to have this continuing impact in our community. So that tells you a little bit about our prayer ministry and our vigils. Now I want to talk a little bit about our student activities. And if I'm talking fast, I come from a family of 7 kids, and I was between boys, and I learned you either talk fast or you don't talk at all. So if I'm talking too fast, raise your hand and I'll slow down. Some people have to say, raise your hand if I'm talking too loud. I have to say, raise your hand if I'm talking too fast. So sorry about that. But our student activities, that's another resource that we make available, of course, to our pastors and to our churches and to our parents. But we really believe, of course, that you've got to reach the youth. The very first youth activity that Montgomery County Right to Life did was the oratory contest. That was started shortly after the group got started. I think it was in 2007 they held the first oratory contest. And I think that Judge Hamilton may have been one of our first judges, and she's judged just about every year since then. She's been very, very faithful. And you get to hear some really inspiring folks when you come to oratory contests, and it's actually open to the public. So this spring we have it in February, March. If you're on our mailing list, you'll see the date. Feel free to come and be inspired by those young folks. But that contest gets the kids to talk about a pro-life topic for 5 to 7 minutes. It's aimed toward juniors and seniors in high school. Then this past, about a year and a half ago, we started an essay contest. And it's actually 2 essay contests. It's a junior high level contest and a senior high level contest. So we've actually done it now twice. It was about a year and a half ago that we started it. And that has just been growing. On that contest, they write on the simple question of, why am I pro-life? They get a chance to think about that. Not why do my parents say I'm pro-life, but why am I pro-life? So that's what the essay contest focuses on. Then this past year, we launched the Montgomery County Right to Life video contest. This is a very, very media-oriented and very media-savvy generation. I was actually going to put together a really great PowerPoint, but then realized that even if I put it together, I would spend more time fumbling with it than talking to y'all, so I set it aside. But this generation is very media-savvy, and we want to give them a platform for their pro-life beliefs. So we launched that, and we had 14 kids participate this very first year. That was just a great response. I actually talked to the person who's in charge of the national contest, and he said they only had about 14, 15 kids nationwide that submitted entries. So we really had a very, very good response here locally. And our local winner, Christian Kinsenia, he actually went on to win the national contest. So now Texas Right to Life and ourselves are joined together to pay for him and his 2 main collaborators to go to the National Right to Life Convention, which will be in about 10 days, so that they'll be able to be there in person for the honor of seeing their videos shown there at the convention, and also they'll be there to get those extra days of training and all those great seminars that they have at the convention. So they're going to come back. Both Christian and his friend Jeremiah are both going to Texas A&M in the fall. They're going to be equipped and ready to speak live onto the A&M campus. Daisy Baez, the other young woman who was involved in this trio, she's going to be back at Conroe High. Again, even more equipped in her pro-life beliefs to speak life onto that campus. So we're very excited about what the video contest is going to bring in the future years. So all of our contests are extremely important because I've had a number of the students come and tell me that they came from Christian pro-life homes, but they said, I never really had to think about those beliefs myself, and I didn't really feel comfortable sharing with them. But then they told me that after they did our contest, that they now felt equipped to share that every life is valuable and precious and should be protected, and they felt comfortable sharing that. So that's the purpose of our contest, is to equip those folks. They really can speak life into their generation and society at large. Also, one more contest that we're not positive we're going to launch, but we're looking at very strongly. One of our volunteers, Lynn Carroll Cannon, has a real heart for the youth, and she's always coming up with new contests. And she wants to have a poster contest. And I think that's a great idea. This will be aimed probably at middle school kids. We might even have a second one will be aimed at the really small elementary kids, so that we can have folks all the way from little on have an opportunity to be raised up and strengthened in their pro-life convictions, ready to speak life into our community. So that's the purpose of our contest and our focus there. In addition, though, to all of our contests that we have, we also very much tie in what Texas Right to Life is doing with their Reveal Summer Camp. Have any of you ever heard of the Reveal Summer Camp? Okay. It's actually was written up in the New York Times. Someone up there heard about it, and they actually, oftentimes in those kind of liberal media, you're going to get someone who's going to come in and talk about, you in a bad way. But their camp is so loving. They're not training these kids to beat people over the head. They're teaching them to minister life and love, and they do such a good job with it that they got a wonderful write-up from that organization. And I Googled it recently. I can still find it. So if you Google, I'm sure you can come across it. But that camp is fantastic. And so we try to encourage our student contestants to go on to that Reveal camp. Because if we get them to do one contest, well, that's great. We've equipped them, and we're sending them out, and they're leaving better than they came in. But if we get them to do 2 or 3 of our contests, and then do the Reveal camp, and some of our kids do. They'll do the essay contest, the oratory contest, and then they'll do the video contest. Well, then if they do that and the Reveal contest, well, we've really created someone who's going to be a warrior, for the pro-life message. So one of my visions is that we can get to the point with our funding that we can offer to every one of our student contestants every year, and that's about 100. Not quite 100, but we're getting close to 100 every year that take part in our contest, that we can offer to send them either free to those Reveal camps or at a very reduced cost. So that's something y'all can certainly pray about for us, because that's something I would like to do. Another thing that we hook up with and we're very excited with that we started about a year ago is Texas Right to Life has a program that's called the Dr. Joseph Graham Pro-Life Scholars Program. They started this back in 2008. They give $2,000 to college students attending a campus here in Texas to either start or help with an existing pro-life group on their college campus. They provide them with training during the summer, some booster training during the Christmas break. They have a young woman, Melissa Pesey, there at Texas Right to Life, who mentors them and helps them so they're not just out there alone. And then they send them out to speak life into our college campus. And we know that a lot of the college campuses are very liberal. And that's a time in life that a lot of kids have left their parents, and they're really starting to decide on their own, what do I really believe? So it's vital that we have that pro-life message there on our college campuses. Well, we don't have a 4-year campus here in Montgomery County. So we started asking Texas Right to Life, let us have a scholar, at the Lone Star College campus in our community. And for a little while, they were like, no, we're only there for 2 or 3 years. It's just not enough time. But we were like, these young folks, they can do amazing things. Give us a chance. And you'll be surprised what they can do. So Texas Right to Life is great. They're always willing to try something new. So then they said, go ahead. So we launched that program last year. We got a young man named Christian Rogers who's attending the Montgomery campus. That's right there in the heart of the Woodlands. And he now has 19 folks, was the last I heard from him, that are now part of his group. He's still waiting for the official confirmation that he's official part of the campus, official recognized group, but we expect that to come through any time now. He's been on the Sam Malone show, and the Conroe Courier wants to do a feature article on him. So again, not only is he impacting the folks on the Lone Star College campus, but he's having a voice out in our larger community as well. So we want to continue with that, and so we just named our second scholar. Y'all are actually getting the news before anybody else does. Rachel Sutton is a young woman who's going to be our next scholar. She'll be joining Christian at the Montgomery campus. She just went through the training for that, and we're waiting for a few little words from her, and then we're going to release that information, so you're going to get hot off the press. But now we'll have 2 scholars there at the Montgomery campus. Our vision eventually is that we would like to have several pro-life scholars at all of our area Lone Star College campuses. And not just the ones in Montgomery County proper, but the ones right across the borders at the Tomball campus, which is just 30 seconds across the bridge there in Tomball, and then also the one right across our border in Kingwood. Just think about the impact that would happen if once we really have those campuses flooded. Because Lone Star is so essential and such a big part of our community. Not only do you have the college-aged kids that are going there making those crucial decisions about what they believe, but you've also got all those high schoolers there that are there for dual credit classes. Homeschoolers are going there for dual credit classes. Private school kids are getting offered on our campus to go there for dual credit classes. And of course, public school kids are going there for dual credit classes. And you've got the older folks like me that are going back for continuing ed or starting a second career. So having a strong pro-life voice at Lone Star is going to radically change our area. And then I like to think about the fact that because most of those kids are only going to be there for 2 or 3 years, and then they're going to probably go off and scatter to Texas, other Texas colleges to finish their degrees. Again, just like the video conscious and some of our other things, those kids are going to be taking that strong pro-life message that they've got now while they're having their time there at Lone Star College, and they're going to take it all over the state to the campuses that they go finish their degree at. So we can be impacting those kids, that next generation, while they're there at Lone Star, and then they're going to be impacting the whole state. So it really does have a ripple effect. So that kind of gives you an idea of our student activities. I want to leave you right now, before we start the question and answer time frame, with a quote from Ronald Reagan. This is actually from this book. This is actually the only book that's ever been written and published by a sitting president. He wrote this at the 10-year anniversary. He wrote an extended essay for the 10-year anniversary of Roe versus Wade back in 1983. Hoping that through his administration, maybe there would be an end to abortion. Sadly, very sadly, 30 years later, now with 40 years of abortion, it still continues in our nation. But here's what Ronald Reagan had to say. My administration is dedicated to the preservation of America as a free land, and there is no cause more important for preserving that freedom than affirming the transcendent right to life of all human beings, the right without which no other rights have any meaning. Well, I think that about sums it up. So you, as Texas Patriots, as y'all decide what's going to be your legislative agenda as a group, I certainly hope that you'll do as you already are doing, and that's put the support for the value and protection of every life paramount as you press forward to help our society become and return to our nation's core values. And then I also pray that you as an individual might take that sheet home and look and see more about what we do on our website, and consider finding just one thing. I know that you're already involved in a lot of things, but find just one thing that you and maybe your family can come and join us with, because it just makes such a difference when we all do something. So thank you for your time, and I'll now, as my kids who did debate said, I now stand open for questions and an examination. Yes?
At the Louetta Clinic,
Uh-huh.
the Louetta Planned Parenthood Clinic, I call it. Do they kill children there, or do they send them downtown to have them killed?
No, their model now is that they have these neighborhood clinics, which sounds friendlier, where they'll do some of the abortifacients with the chemicals, although that Louetta one doesn't even do that, I believe. They'll provide a lot of the initial screening, of course, and other health care, and then they direct them down to the main abortion facility there off of I-45. It's also partially also a function of the fact that less physicians are willing to be abortion doctors, and so they need to kind of just funnel folks to one location. So no, that Louetta clinic does not.
You know, I think we ought to make it as uncomfortable as possible for a so-called doctor to be an abortion. I mean, that should be one of the most uncomfortable things to be in the world.
Well, I
He
think
should be barraged by mail around, you know, to his neighbors, telling people what he does for a living. We should do everything possible to, like I say, embarrass him, to just make him become a pariah in the neighborhood.
Well, we already seen fewer and fewer doctors that want to carry that mantle because folks in the court do know that it's taking life, and the abortion rate has gone down. So we're just going to continue trying to touch, people's hearts and minds, so that there's just less and less people who want those people's services. Another question? Or about any of our other activities? Because like I said, I've only covered a couple of them. We've had some of the abortion workers come out and just tell us, like I said, they're very protective of their semen. And so you usually have to stay on this grass, the public right of way. And then they'll come out. Sometimes they're in the building and they must be watching us. And they'll come out and say, you got off the grass. But now we've all kind of learned the rules. It's usually just new folks that are coming out that we need to tell that we need to respect the laws of our land, and those are the laws of our land, just to stay in our area. But otherwise, I really haven't felt threatened there. There was one gentleman once who was going around while we were praying, and he was going right up to us and kind of mocking us. He had some juice, and he was pretending it was holy water, and he was just doing some things just to kind of get in our head. But all we can do then is just smile at him and love him and pray for him. And so that's what we did.
It seemed like there was another question I wanted to ask. Oh yes, there was a doctor, a supposed doctor downtown, who, when babies were not killed during the process of the abortion, he wrung their necks just like guys now, like in Pennsylvania. And the Attorney General is supposed to investigate that. Has there been any progress in that investigation?
I haven't heard of anything. I know they opened that investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of you that are elected offices know anything more, but I haven't seen anything publicly. Yes, Steve?
Phil King spoke with the district attorney from Harris County, and there just isn't any evidence that we can act on in order to hand
They
out.
had 3 witnesses.
The witnesses were not credible when they were interviewed over and over again. Their stories fell apart. So I have no doubt that there's some truth to it, that some of that went on, but there just isn't any evidence to be able to get this done.
All right, well, we can certainly continue to pray for him. Has there anyone in here that's gone out to any of the prayer vigils and gone out to pray? Steve and okay, well, good. Yeah, the first time that I went and took part in the 40 Days for Life, I actually didn't. I signed up for just 1 hour. I was a homeschool mom. All our kids have graduated now, but this past May our youngest graduated. And I was a little bit intimidated by the thought of it. And so I said, I had the excuse, well, I'm a homeschool mom, so I'm just going to sign up to pray for 1 hour at home. But that was good. It was where I was at, and it was a blessing. So I prayed for 1 hour at home. Then it was that second year that I decided to take the plunge, and actually go to the Planned Parenthood clinic. And really, I do encourage each of you to go do it. Because we had a young woman who came recently when 2 of our volunteers were out praying, and nothing particularly dramatic was happening that day, and they were getting ready to leave when this nice young lady strolled up with this little baby, you know, in a little stroller, and she said, a few months ago, I was at the Planned Parenthood clinic in Bryan College Station. She said, I was preparing to go in and I was going to have an abortion. She said there was one lone woman who was praying outside that clinic. And she said that when I saw that, I knew that woman was praying for me. And she was praying for my baby. She said, I couldn't go through with it. So she had then moved to Houston, and she said, I just want to come and thank y'all for what you're doing. Well, that was powerful. That's going to keep those people going back there to pray for probably years to come. Because, you know, they had never had anything like that happen. Nothing particularly happened that day. But you are affecting change, and that's where people are really hurting. They say that 60% of women who go to a Planned Parenthood or other abortion clinic are desperately praying and hoping that somebody or something will intervene while they're there and stop them from making that decision. And if you have just one person there praying, you have an opportunity to minister love to that person. And that's what we're there. We're not there to minister condemnation. We're there to minister life and love and healing and forgiveness for those who maybe have made that decision. Is anyone, yeah, go ahead, Jim, and then I'll see if anyone else has a question.
I was wondering if, how many death camps are still left in Texas after the new law has been put in effect?
Again, I'm not really sure about how many abortion clinics. I know, like I said, it's gone down, and with the great work that was done with HB2, you know, some have been shuttered, and we're hoping for more. So we're very fortunate to live in Texas where we have some great laws. But again, those laws won't stand, and you see how hard it was for us to get those laws in place, and they won't stand, you know, unless we continue to speak to our neighbors and build up that groundswell support.
We have to be aggressive
among individuals that, you know, life is precious, life is important. Any other questions? I would also encourage you to take part in Life Chain. There's a question over here.
So we just get it on the internet to get involved?
Yes. www.MCRT, so it stands for Montgomery County Right 2, and then life spelled out .com. And we're actually going to be redoing our website soon. We're actually, one thing that we're going to be starting new that you're also going to hear about for the first time, at one of our pastors' dinners, as we're all talking about new ideas, one of our pastors had the idea. He said, you know, there's great pro-life things happening in our community, but sometimes I find out about it afterwards. We don't always know about it. So we're going to start a pro-life community calendar. This was his suggestion, Reverend Peter Allison, and so that churches can call in and let us know. We're going to be having a fundraiser for PACN, or we're going to have a walkathon, or pro-life walkathon. We're going to have a time of prayer, you know. Whatever they're going to do, they can call in, and we'll put it all this central location on this pro-life calendar. And so it'll be a one-stop shop, so to speak, where you can find out what's going on. So it'll make it easier for all of us to support each other's activities and get more involved. So that's something we're going to be launching on the website. So we are also going to be putting up some new resources on the website and redoing that, because we want to make that website an integral part of our community where you know you can go for good resources and the latest information on what's going on.
I just want to make a comment, and that's a thanks to, I think every one of our elected officials in this room has attended one of our Montgomery County Right to Life events or dinners, maybe everybody but one. And I just want to share that with everyone in here, how blessed we are to have all of these wonderful, and would you all, elected officials that have supported life in some way and have shown up at one of our events and done things, would you mind standing? Because I really think you deserve recognition. Thank you.
Yes, I really want to thank y'all too. Talking about the Dinner for Life, that's something that I would like to encourage you to do. That's our annual fundraiser, but we see that as far more than a fundraiser. We always keep our prices down. It's only $30 to attend, because we see that as one of our main inspirational educational events. This past year we gave out almost 100 tickets, I think 81 tickets, to different pastors in our community to make it possible for them to come to the event, and to our student contestants, because again, we want to touch base and interact with those students more than just once. And we always have great pro-life speakers that come that really gets people, educated and inspired. So we have great attendance among our elected officials as well, so that once a year, we're speaking that life message to them. They're hearing that, they're going out, and they're thinking about that as they, determine what the laws of the land around us will be. So I encourage you to come to that Dinner for Life. It'll inspire you, you'll get educated, and then you'll also, again, find out more what you can do to be part of that. We haven't set it for this year. Generally speaking, it's usually sometime either near the last weekend of March or one of the first 2 weekends of April. And so we'll be setting that pretty soon. So it'll be on our website. Yes?
Can you tell us more about the oratory contest?
Yes, the oratory contest takes place in the spring, the early spring. It's really usually around February. Normally we have around a dozen kids that participate, 9 to 12, lately we've been training toward 12. This year we had 13. And again, when I told one of the school counselors, I think it was Woodlands High, when I talked to the school counselor, we dropped off the flyers about the contest, and I told her we normally have about a dozen kids that come and speak in our oratory contest. Her eyes got real big and she about fell over, and she goes, I can't believe you got 12 kids to come speak about anything, especially pro-life. And so those are real leaders that we're getting that opportunity to be trained and equipped to go out and speak the pro-life message. So the oratory contest normally takes place at Conroe Bible Church. Pastor Dave has been great. I think he's hosted it probably from the beginning. So that's where it will be. And it's for 11th and 12th graders. If you've got friends or family that fall in that age range, and they can talk about stem cell research, abortion, euthanasia. And there's one other, Carol, what is it? Euthanasia, abortion, infanticide. There's a topic to talk about for the oratory contest. The oratory contest is near and dear to my heart because that's how I first found out about Montgomery County Right to Life. Our oldest son, Joseph, had heard about the contest and decided to do it. And so he took part in that in 2009 and 2008. And I went with him to the contest, got a chance to meet Dr. Morrison, some of the other great volunteers, started volunteering. And then as our kids got older, I just started volunteering more and more, and became on as director in 2012. So I love the oratory contest.
The videos that you have, that you're talking about, is it possible for those to be reproduced?
I know, yeah, we now have the rights, and the kids actually kind of sign over the rights to them. So you can, it's actually on our website. If you want to see the winning video, it's hosted on the front page, the home page of our website. We actually just launched Montgomery County Right to Life YouTube channel. We're going to start hosting more and more pro-life videos. We can feel that one place and know that you can get some great pro-life videos. But it's there. And I don't see any problem, Carol, do you, with them reproducing that? Because we want to get that message out. And Christy, do you need this down? Okay, I'm Susan, so any more questions? Any more questions, or are we done? All right, thank you for your attention.